Yeah, ho.
Yo, it's your favorite N-word, Terrance Prescott Barnes. This is a fantasy file titled The Snow Den. It begins. Yeah, we'll climb mountains together. Yeah, we'll climb mountains together. Sometimes it be like it is, singing one of my favorite jams while I hike real slow. It's a good day though. I'm walking slow because I have a plan to talk to an old flame. In the meantime, I'll be enjoying the scenery of this national park while I continue to sing and compete with the birds in the atmosphere. And then watch them stare at me differently because my beard is so lavender. They want to steal some of my nectar, but not today. I'm keeping the vibes of this lovely lavender jaw guardian high while my red eyes are too close to guide me faster. I'm in my head, in my heart, in my vessel, satisfied because life has been real splendid to me. Thinking back on it, my love spectrum hasn't really been in harm's way. Some very potent highs, but right now, I'm so high, my aura is looking like a rainbow, whether my pitches are hit correct or not. From purple to red and back down again, I eventually sit down at a bench atop a beautiful hill. Looking down the mountain makes me feel like I'm in a picture, exempling one of those in the thousands of dimensions with millions of pixels to make you feel like you're really there kind of pictures. Then zoom right back to my point of view, like I'm playing with reality too much. Then I'm really brought back to reality as a park ranger approaches me, waves his hand instead of speaking, then keeps walking across the hilltop as if he's taking a break. Looks like a brute of a Lebanese man with a uniform that's so perfect. He has got to be the head park ranger. Black beard glistens heavenly, like each tip of strand is a shining star with eyes so hazel. You're staring into the perfect latte. I woke up that morning mad high on life because I had somebody to climb mountains with, even though he's not here with me in this moment. An almost equally handsome brute is kind of keeping me company. Then he asked, "Hi sir, are you okay? You've been here for a while." Yeah, about that. After I got to the hilltop, I was so drenched in my one-on-one playlist, the one that holds all 101 of my favorite songs of all time, that I was hypnotized by the perfectly put together chaos of sounds, just waiting for an alarm to ring so I can call my old flame, or he called me. It's one of those times of the year where we have a long catching up conversation. He resides on space colony Saturn's edge. It orbits parallel but ahead of planet Saturn and is looking directly down upon planet Earth. Because of this, we had a clear line of communication that happens per the space colony's orbit. That's where my head was at, but I did answer the park ranger. Then he introduced himself as Gové Theodore. I have never heard that one before. I was intrigued. Then he recognized who I was, then said, "Yeah, you're fine." Probably coming up with a new epilogue. What's on your mind? I laughed and put my hand out to properly greet him. Then he sits down next to me while awaiting my answer. I told him exactly where my mind was. It was on an old flame named Claudio Dalgun. It was kind of saddened I wasn't in imagination land but understood. Since he was instantly geared for story time, I decided to tell him a story while I waited for the call. I started it off with, "I'll brighten up your shift with another kind of story, if you like gay ventures." He liked gay ventures. Took out a cigar to help him enjoy his story, but they had me thinking, He must have a pretty sweet gig in a national park. But without further ado, let's go back to one of the guys I met in my youth. It was a gay guy event called the Snow Den, a winter festival where gay guys come together to, of course, together, mostly hinting towards doing things that make snowfall worth it. This festival is great for winter fashion, seasonal music, and different walks of the LGBTQIA to come together and share successes with one another through networking. It always takes place towards the last leg of winter, and with it being in Helsinki, Finland, there's plenty of snow to go around. It's all I saw as the plane was landing, leaving the airport, traveling to the giant hotel that hosts the event and the perfect view from the top floor. It was afternoon time frame on day 1 of 14 of the event. Sinful Sunday, we're a few days away, but it was going to start soon. I was with my pilot, Everett, extending an invite to him because he was simply a friend within a friend that never professionally did me wrong. He deserved a vacation, and why not let him get in on the gay event? He thanked me plenty of times, as it was the first time we were sitting next to each other on a flight. Luckily, we got a whole row of seats to ourselves and made the flight ridiculously heavenly before a heaven of a trip. When we made our way back down to where the event was, it was already booming as thousands of gay men were already multiple shelves into a booze fest. The event had every event, media, and executive room filled to prepare for networking, merchandise, and turn one of them into a cafeteria. I definitely was a man with an appetite, but I made a mistake. After finally checking in, Everett and I went right to the cafeteria to get some things to eat. Then we noticed on the opposite wall of the cafeteria was the indoor pool area with at least 30 individual hot tubs. Why? Then we noticed there was a hot tub sign-up time. It hadn't been touched at the time we saw it. Maybe a few names here and there, but our lucky number is 4, so we signed up for the 4th hot tub from midnight until. We hollered at some food, then went on our merry way. We learned about where everything was within the event to where everything was outside of the event. Then 8 at night came around to the opening of the event. The auditorium was packed to the point there were men standing in the aisles. We were lucky enough to sit directly at the center of the middle front row. A guy by the name of Chevro Tenjik welcomed us into a highly quick assembly that only lasted a mere while. Then we were dismissed to go, of course, our way through 2 weeks of enjoyment, however we see fit. Yeah, we were confused too. This was one more than a big-ass multi-week event, and we only get 10 minutes of a welcoming assembly? No wonder the websites and social media accounts at that time had as many likes and comments referring to the Big Ten as they did. It was a literal event of business and pleasure everyone can't wait to get into. With it being the first night, there was more pleasure to get into than anything else. That's why life rearranging, changes for the future would be made. Everett and I looked at each other in puzzling manners as everyone immediately filed out of the opening assembly, then found ourselves at the cafeteria again to eat before we decided to work out, then have a real reason to hop into the hot tub. Right before we went to the hot tub area, we agreed to try some things of the alcoholic nature. A lot of things. Not knowing they had a bar set up at the hot tubs yet. Changes were made by the time midnight came around. Not so bad changes. Just a gang of men signing up for the hot tubs, but we luckily had 4 names under the 4th hot tub designated. At that time, we were walking mad slow and laughing euphorically at all kinds of stupid things we were saying. Slid into the hot tub, then looked up out of the snow globe-like dome around the hot tub area. That snow was hitting like the alcohol was hitting. Then one of the gentlemen that put their names down walked up on us, talking about, "Y'all mind if I join?" We said sure, then introduced ourselves. He said his name was Barret Crixlas, accent about as dark as his brown skin popping. His skin was popping so lusciously that Everett immediately complimented him after getting his name by saying, "Please join us, your handsomeness." Then Barret said, "I want what you two are having." Then I stupidly said, "I don't think there's enough car wrecks around here for you to catch up." "Wow," is what we heard as I signaled for a bartender to come over, had him bring back 3 shots of dirty brown liquor, told Barret that he has to manhandle these shots, one after another, and that might catch him up quickly. Barret slightly grabbed the bartender's arm and asked him to bring a bottle of Chateau Pontet Canet Pauillac, or however you pronounce it. I never, ever saw Everett's eyes glisten like a Smash Bros character before. Young Link, to be exact. Then Everett had the nerve to tell him to hurry up with the shots so we can find out where he's from. That wasn't a wee situation. With this much fire in his eyes, I didn't even need to be a wingman at that time. He quickly found out that he's from Darwin, Northern Territory of Aussie land. But before he could really go off into talking about himself, the 4th person for the hot tub walked up, introduced himself as Claudio Dalgun. Then as soon as he came into my range of vision, my eyes turned into a Get the Gear characters. Chip Zanoof, to be exact. Because of his accent, there were 4 brooding ones floating in the hot tub. Him being from Germany, a man from Darwin, a man from Oregon, and a man from South Carolina. We were wilding. Barret and Claudio caught up with us in shots, and then we hydrated the proper way to not lose time during the vacation. It was mad 3D, man. Just mad. 'Cause I have red eyes, and so does Claudio. Then Everett and Barret have blue eyes. It was switch hitting all of us to the point in another world. Whatever Gové and I have going on would be more than that. I digress, but the sexual tension in the hot tub, upon continuing the slaughtering of alcoholism, turned into Wild D. We were wilding in tow. We found out that Barret is a college professor of art who is also a sculptor, turning giant blocks into an assortment of male bodies, paying homage to all of our body types, and keeping it a state. Has a penchant for using crushed gemstones to create a specific glaze over the sculpting material he uses. Quite detailed to the point, they say it's his own skinning method when detailing the appearance before the glaze. We had to wait for proof though, but that's how he got an invite to the Snowden. Claudio is a space commander of Space Colony Saturn's Edge. He was kinda bashful to tell us how he got his invite, but if you can't tell, he's a sports model on the side. Seeing optometrist. I wanted to ask, how dare he take off his robe like he didn't have hundreds of blue triangles spread across his frame. Very small, but I was zooming when he got in my range of vision, ranging from both sides of his neck to his pecs, to more random places along his arms and a few on fingertips. I couldn't tell where they were on the lower area of his torso, but he models well. This I know. Barret would be more than happy to sculpt him, but he said he would sculpt Ev, and I too. Everett damn near floated off the planet, he got so red. 255 at max. Then he melted into the hot tub like a G. He went quiet for a while Barret and Claudio went over the poses that would be best for his sculpture. And our faces, taking my critique hard since I be placing my characters in the best positions. I told Claudio to do my superhero thing, and he did it. One of those where a strong man flexes everything from one shoulder to the opposite hip. Both of these works of art did it, then my goofy ass got up to do it. Flexed everything just like them, then forcefully told Everett he might as well join. No one but Barret would care for how his body was reacting to the whole situation. He cared, cause he wanted Everett to do the pose behind him. Old boy was right. Harmless, adulterated, stranger danger, hot tub essence for the guys, right? But it was a warping of red and blue eyes over the glowing, of soft white lights, the moonlight and the snow brightening everything up. Aesthetic particles, as if our eyes began to leave trails while we conversed and conversed and conversed and set our eyebrows in orbit a few too many times. Probably because we found a rotating feature. I believe that was a thing that opened up this vacation. For me to be open to opportunities is easy, even more easier when I know that I have 2 weeks of smoozing and boozing. But at that time, I didn't know that a hulk of a golden retriever was about to warm this winter to smithereens. Claudio was immediately powerful from 1 hour to the 6 we spent there until the sun finally came out. Then found ourselves making out with his back towards Barret, who was making out with Everett. Mentally, my mind made itself up by thinking, fuck it, I'll probably never see him again. To my room we went with no reluctance to pleasure the second day away. It was strong, no jet lag dethroning blood flow. No one dared to interrupt. All muscles bulging and all senses heightened, regardless of alcohol coursing. During manhandling each other, I could see myself standing on each triangle I found and looking out into the spacious room, looking out into the glow of the sun. Daylight dropped me back off in my body every time in comparison to Av, dropping the bass at 207. 2 men moaning O's at 7 in the morning would never be the same. Then there went my mental again. Fuck it, I'll probably see him again. Fuck it, I wanted to see him again. It was like learning how to walk for the first time. Is this what everyone was so happy about at once and kept doing it? The stranger danger of hooking up, but it couldn't be compared to a one-night stand. No, not in any capacity because of all of the sharing we did while boozed up. Everything was replaying in my memories as I dozed off next to him, replayed like a horror movie in dreamland. Then woke up to the God to be with nothing but him in my memory span again. Then he woke up like he knew I had woke up, talking about good afternoon and whatnot. I replied with good afternoon and shenanigans. He questioned my shenanigans, so I had to tell him that whatever is going on in this event, we were going to do together. He chuckled and said he's into that. I asked him if he wanted to meet up at the cafeteria in an hour or so. He started gathering his clothes and a robe from last night while still tending to me. 6 feet away, he told me we should make it 30, but I needed to shower the hot tub film off and his residue off so he could smell me in a way I prefer to be smelled. He started laughing real hard while covering his mouth like a gentleman. That had me laughing real hard while I covered my mouth as well. Once he finally assembled his marbles, he told me that the rumors were true. The rumors stated that I was one friendly man, and if I ever give up the goods, every second would be worth it. Because the one thing I said in all interviews back in the beginning of my career was, I'm going to smell good even when you catch me getting it in as the Ninja Turtle. Right before he left my room for the first time, I asked him if he had at least 21 triangles scattered across his frame. He said I was close, but no cigar. I then told him to let me figure it out. He told me I had 11 days to get the number right, and if I did, I would have gotten a gift. While I was showering him off for the first time, I thought to myself, I dead ass would date him if the circumstances were different. He never put French fries in his nostrils. He was the leader of pranks in high school. He stays jamming to Raven Simone. He stays jamming to Asmarie. He named his space dogs Astro and Blitty. But he also hid his fandom for me very well. Starstruck behavior was nowhere to be seen in that hot tub or when we got alone. We were alone. Didn't feel alone. Didn't feel like a one-night stand. Then he asked me to get the number of his triangle count right so I can get a gift. I think he wants to give me that gift. Only boyfriends get gifts. Then the shower was over. After getting smelled good, I went to check up on Everett, who was on his way to check up on me. We laughed, when we exited our rooms because we were across the hallway from each other, the first thing we said to each other was, "Last night was the gayest." Then I asked him if it was immature to turn this vacation into a paradise. He said he was going to ask me the same, but in other words. Then Everett said that Barret did something no one else has ever done. That young Link look in his eyes came out again, and it was mad lit. As if his entire eyeballs were on fire like his superpower was fire. He was the moment. He said, after we got naked and started making out, he stopped. Looked me in my eyes, got off the bed while looking me in my eyes, and reopened the curtains so he could see me. I felt seen. I felt. You know that feeling you get when you're finally ordering Taco Hell? We were both there because I felt as well. I felt the power I've never felt before, reminiscent of my first time, to my second, to my third, and to my fourth. Boyfriends, that is. I felt barely legal again. But we didn't know it at the time, that the two of them were already in the cafeteria talking about what happened last night, as if they were best friends. Barely getting any food down because they were both bragging about things, but in a very innocent way. They felt too. They had two big-ass buffet-filled plates because, why not? We matched our plates to theirs, then joined them, so we could talk about the happiness in the air. We walked up on them as Barret was saying, toe curling should be an Olympic sport after last night. And of course we laughed and continued to laugh in between bites, and we all started to gulp the food due to true starvation, and some of them flavors hitting. Eventually the four of us split up, and I was alone with Claudio for the first time while sober. Still feeling barely legal, looking at this titan was everything at that moment. Do it for you. He was Don Richard for me at that moment, as I found out that he was 6'6", 302 pounds, works out in higher gravity, and keeps fruit mad high in his diet. I could tell already because of how he tasted last night. My taste buds weaved through the alcoholism to savor his health. It was already becoming dangerous, as if I was really dating him already. Just coated in winter wear, walking the streets of Helsinki and talking to each other like it's just another day in life. It was far from it, even though we were behaving the way we wanted to. I was behaving inquisitive as possible without being annoying, asking him questions along the line of, how was Hamburg for you while growing up? Do you miss it? Do you miss a planet's atmosphere often? What would it take for you to be the lead commander of the space colony? How many times have you been to the surface of Saturn? Have you gone deeper into space? What made you choose the fourth hot tub last night? Yep, combo breaker. But this is how he answered. Hamburg had a lot of beautiful things about it. I enjoyed the sunrises the most. I always think about them whenever the sun rises on a space colony. And yes, the space colony rotates accordingly. Then again, I miss the fireflies the most. Used to chase them around a lot as a kid. Those are what I miss the most. My parents are alright, but them fireflies never got old. I don't miss a planet's atmosphere. I feel most comfortable on space colonies. You can say I have a heavy metal heart like Scott Ferreira. Maybe a decade's worth of time and not skipping a beat. Leadership is an evil drug because you always have to depend on people actually taking heed to you. You have to deal with the bad days, the bad moments, the bad seconds, but the good guys that want to help the world go round, those make it all worth it. Motivation. That's a good drug, but I have to find it in myself, then push it on to others. It's always this constant puzzle, and it is always missing pieces, even when you figure out how to motivate someone. Because one person is one person. It changes from one to another, and that's why I'm on this vacation. Saturn's surface is mad tricky. You have to stay in a spacecraft at all times, but it's interesting because of all the variables. Learning which time of the year is the best to visit certain areas is always a field day. When you think that we have it all figured out, the planet will do something a little different. That little different thing can change flight patterns or how much time we can spend within its gravitational force. Back when I was 25, I flew all the way around the Milky Way galaxy, but my job is best suited for surveying Saturn. Every once in a while, a space voyage will hit the bulletin board, and those kinds of flights will help out a resume. That flight took a year to complete, and it was beautiful. I may take another one, but it depends on other things that may help my career out more. When I asked a question about the fourth hot tub, he laughed and laughed to the point he had to stop the laughing place for a while. His face was blushing, that I assumed it was because I was about to find out something quite embarrassing. Claudio eventually cleared his throat to say, "Don't make me laugh again. I want to say 4 is my lucky number, but there your name was, the second one on the list. I did about 8 takes to make sure it was spelled with an A, but there your name was. I felt like the luckiest man alive. I put my name under yours and went on about the night until midnight. I really had to meet you, but under the circumstances of a hot tub, I had to meet you." I replied with a every now and then as he continued with, "Way back when you preluded the world to bring in the signs. When I saw that all of the art had triangles involved in it, I became a fan again. Oh yeah, I love triangles just as much as you, but man, it was beautiful seeing all of the first characters submitted to the public. I always found it brave of you to release the images of deities, goddesses, guides, entities, and sites before the main cast. It's your version of giving a fuck when it comes to submitting or releasing your art to the world. And yes, I pay homage to them, for real. 'Cause I pay homage to you for real. You can call me a fanboy if you want. I won't mind." Then my dumb ass said, you know I was gonna ruin it. Then my dumb ass said, "You are far from a boy in any sense." And then we laughed and laughed to laugh some more as I continued to question him. Only to realize again that the circumstances were different, I still feel the need to date him serious. I've never met a man that kept it so cool, but had the audacity to tell the truth without the vibe of telling me what I want to hear. All of the things said so far since the hot tub gathering proves why he loves triangles so much, reminding me I had to find out that count. With us not doing a lot of anything besides walking, talking, and hanging out at a random bar. We called it a night so we can catch up on the sleep we've lost so far. I didn't have it in me to try to count more triangles because he was still jet-lagged, and so was I. But in the morning of the 3rd day, I definitely tried to count the triangles but wasn't brave enough to guesstimate. I wanted to say 24 after he got all the way dressed, but he asked me before leaving my room. So I said 25 for safe measure. He told me I was close again, but wouldn't tell me if I needed to add more or not. I wanted to break reality so bad to cheat, but none of my powers would work because I really like being clueless when it came to his tatted triangle count. But I had time to try again. That day wasn't in Snowden. He quickly got information to go to a planetarium that can show his space colony in grand detail. Had me in there looking mad dumb, told even without the booze. It was just to let me narrate you real quick, but make an adventure out of it. Kind of dragonfly that fucked my entire brain up. Not dragonflies, just one. That buzz that reminds you that you're alive and worthy. He asked me to move the telescope in a way that I did, exactly what he said after giving his clearance to extend his jurisdiction. Now I know he is a real astronaut. Took me a while, huh? I then turned into his #1 fanboy even though I already saw it. Yep, it's your favorite N-word, and I found a way to play too much in the past. Holla at him. Then it was time to guess again. I went lower. I was wrong. Again, I was wrong. 27 wasn't it either. Then another big day was on the horizon. All the way to the horizon and back down through snowboarding. It was all 4 of us, geared up properly and ready to go. Claudio, Couldn't wait to act all the way up with flips like he was an Olympian or something. He was mad height, but it was highly poetic and kept tearing up as if he's never coming back to earth. I wanted to find out why he was wilding so hard, but the telemundo of it all was very well absorbed by the audiences that caught on. We were just at the lodge. We were just up there. Like we were there. There was where, and his hands were shaking right below his nose. I knew he was playing. They knew he was playing, but it didn't stop when we got that hot cocoa either. And didn't stop until we got to the snowboards and started acting all leader-like. My pearls are black. Don't do that switch up again. Then he laughed a good amount that had him going deeper into my heart. Then we helped Barret go through a snowboarding lesson or two. Then we were ready. Barret was never far behind, but those flips this Titan was doing. Some of them were full length with full spins. We were all snapping from the back while weaving perfectly. I showed off a little, so did Everett. Then Barret gave us a one-off. Don't ask me how he did a flip, but he did a flip. Then I asked Everett if he'd marry him now. Everett bailed, but he had a thumbs up while he slid on his back. It was good times, but I asked Claudio to do it again after we went down a solid long 2 times. I wanted to see from a snowmobile view how he would look with my camera. Some slow-mo action and some commentating by me. The coldest and happiest I ever was at that moment. The sky had a pattern that caught the sun just right. I like to think I won some awards for that camera work. Should have seen a proud look in his eyes when he played them back. I could see the reflection of Saturn in them. Then I laughed and created a giant snowball, but no one was really hurt but me. Then there he was. After I done hit my head, it was just a short while ago, but after our mind trip, I noticed a triangle behind his right ear. Shout out to the sun for that. But I really haven't been able to see his body in light. Tried to trick him to come back to my room while the sun was out a little later. He just wouldn't budge, but it was okay, cause getting to his full body while in light is going to happen. I guess 19 the next morning and he told me that was a bold choice. Then told me I was close again, then again, and again. Then told me that I have been close, but no cigar the entire time. I asked him, what's the superpower hiding tattoos? He told me no, and that was a very bold question. It's something water and tightness withers can do. Can even alter his appearance at any time, but he wasn't fooling me. No tattoos on his face, his palms, his soles, or areas of pleasure. His skin was pale in comparison enough to the dark blue hue that they all had to be obvious. I had to figure out a way to count him in zero gravity. I wanted to cheat. Until then, the quest continued. Then it was the last Saturday night, and what else should we do on a vacation? Claudio has always wanted to dance on a planet. I was thrown off by him never going to clubs while growing up, let alone school dances. Then I realized it's Germany. We laughed every time I caught up. It was mad dumb how he has always wanted to dance in human gravity. Everything up to that moment paled in comparison, because the tank top he pulled out was almost the last thing I needed to see. It was the same shade as his hair in triangles, but with a cut to bring his chest up. Why was it dazzling but not at the same time when he came out of his room and took in a breath like the second spin of Sailor Mercury? His eyes were closed, but his pants were red, just like them. His wristbands were red, just like them. His kicks were red, just like them. Then all I saw was red as he had to pry my arms from around him. It was getting close to a goodbye I didn't want to happen. He eventually stopped trying to get me from smothering him to death. We missed the first 20 minutes of the Dan Snow Bomb, their name of the club event of the entire event. 2 times every time with a DJ that keeps all of us shaking our ass Saturday 1 and Saturday 2 until the sun rises again. The first one was alright, sharing the spotlight with everyone who was coming down from their clever busy life that got them here in the first place. The second one was entirely too lit, because we have all gotten a well rest we have needed from the clever busyness. Whoever this DJ was, something had gotten into him. Probably one of the other many gentlemen of this event, but he was in his bag that night. I know it wasn't the black sheep Manhattans or the blue motorcycles, or even the shots of Hennessy that coated my blood cells with the little edible gum that was circulating in my system. 2 hours in, and I was the most brown gravy you had ever seen, served smoothly on a black dance floor surrounded by the dimmest white lights, accented by the thousands of rainbow lights that matched perfectly with the blend of the entire 10-hour mix of Saturday 2. Midnight was a turning point, as I did nothing but ruin the dance floor because I was the epidemic, as if I was honing story number 11. I was turned into the direction of the DJ, as he unleashed a song on the hour of every hour that determined the whole hour. Hardcore, fuck your ex pop songs that followed the stunners so over you. Hardcore, bend it over and make a square foreign jams provided by Louisa Sonza's Moto Turbo. Hardcore had everyone chanting to the catchiness delivered by Justine Skies in my bag. Hardcore sent us snake-like beats that matched how the alcohol sneaks through our systems because of Maxine Ashley's Caught Up. Hardcore put your hands on my hips while sweating the troubles away courtesy of Tinashe's Bouncing. Hardcore making you feel like you're the only person at the disco swarming with Paradise Jams that followed TK Maze's So Cold. Yes, I still take a trip down memory lane and listen to the whole 10-hour mix from that night. It's a lifestyle at this point. And I can't thank the heavens enough that Claudio kept all the way up as we dipped in and out with drinks. We were so young. We were so ultimate. We were so hardcore. Then we were in one of the lounges of the hotel while watching a bright snowstorm outside. I was sitting up and back, comfortably, while he was reclined all the way out with his head on the soft pillow that was on my lap. We were wide awake after breakfast, anticipating a painful goodbye because in 4 more days, our lucky number would cease to exist. I peeled back his tank to rub his stomach while talking to him about some bullshit, trying to explain to him that my dance moves are just different depending on if I know a song or not, if I can anticipate a beat drop or not. We were laughing and relaxing at this point, but never running out of opportunities to compliment each other. I wasn't the only one acting up a little on the dance floor. I've never seen a heavy, muscled-up man hit the lights like that. I would kiss the back of his hands every now and then to remind him that I'm all the way into him, then kiss his heavy lips. Then there it was. He was beginning to look at me as if he knew me his entire life. Kindred melting, then time melting. Then I found myself in the middle of a snowstorm. His arms were wide open. I ran to them with ultimate ease. Whatever cold was in the atmosphere was destroyed. Then I found myself looking at my left hand. I saw him with the other 4 gentlemen that touched my spirit to its core, all because he said, "I love you." We had just got done singing, "I ain't falling in love, I ain't falling in love no more with you." But how? He said it had me hopping dimensions. We just went from him hopping into the hot tub to him making me thankful I'm still alive, just like a peach. Won't ever forget how he dripped down my chin, drenching my beard, then sliding down my neck. The way he created an upside-down tree of life was something I felt 4 other times. It was then I knew what perfect men are capable of. That Chip Zanuff look came back to my eyes and was about to burst into a supernova. He eventually fell asleep while I was rubbing his stomach. It was the first time he snored in my presence. The sun rose while I simply reveled in all of my thoughts of the snow den thus far, speedily getting to the 50th stomach rub by the 10th time of just thinking, not realizing again that time tripped entirely hard. He napped for an hour while I got stuck in La La Land, needing to desperately slow down time, but nothing was working as I woke him up so we can go lay together again. Not before I slowly showered the dancing away. It was the perfect time to count again. He was dazed the entire time up to my room. I undressed him mad slowly just to slow down time again and guided him carefully to a waterfall that hummed to take it easy, so close to his ear that his heart heard it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Fucking finally. So I thought. Coming to again led me down the wrong count. How though? Where is he holding these triangles? Like he said days ago. None on his dome and none near his reproductive organs or the backside. I done checked his hands, the curves around his muscles, leg up, leg down, feet and things. Being told damn near a 12th time I was wrong had me feeling like a mumble rapper. Did I drop out of junior high? Or did I not? I was furious on the inside, but I didn't let it show. But he let me know that I had one more try and maybe I'd get the count right. He could feel my fury even though I didn't emote it. He grabbed me and pulled me in for a really deep hug that made me give it all up. Fury dissipated like the darkness dying in the sunrise. With Wednesday, 3, coming up, I was willing to prepare to say goodbye. He was too. Monday was spent kinda silent. We split up, cause it was time to. We connected again around dinner. Everett was keeping me company as we stared off into the air, talking about all the love that was about to not be in the air. Everett let him in, and I met him with one of the saddest hugs I ever met somebody with. He returned the favor. His frown matched mine as the door shut. Then we got to eating. The conversation that night revolved around what would each other be to one another if I was on his space colony or he was on Earth. Claudio asked me, I really enjoy you. I almost love at this point. You sound like a lifetime, but if our occupations were what they needed to be so we could always have each other, what would I be on Earth? I told him that he would be a Marine recruiting manager, where he would be with the reserves as well, but in Charlotte, so we could keep this romance going. I asked him vice versa. Claudio said that I would be an entertainment artist of the space colony, putting on shows as the artist developer, creating murals, even doing my animations on the space colony. We took it way further to the point his aura started turning rainbow colors. Something I've never seen, then I felt like how the entire universe felt. No, really. Something was telling me in my vessel that the time-space continuum shifted just a smidge. The warmth that conversation put on me was massive. I believed that he was a rainbow in that moment, as his aura had his big body frame hugged by all the hues of it, as the 6 lines of it vibrated to the tune of something I've never heard, but I could tell music was in the atmosphere. Happily eating with a fork and a knife, staring at me with pure glee as he calmly chewed his food, then continued with my plans for the next story of mine being in production on a space colony. As if they would let that many artists on the space colony to mass produce adulterated animated series for the masses. Then he said something I'll never forget. I'm the commander. You will be allowed to live how you desire with me. It was funny. He said I damn near changed colors as if he could see my aura, reminding me how stupidly I would say my brain is changing colors as a kid. Then he said it started changing mad colors while I was on my hands and knees, barely remembering how to breathe between laughter. I was not intact. My eyebrows were in another sector of the universe at this point, but I definitely was thankful they were. We spent the rest of that night just talking about the actuality of being in each other's lives on Earth and Space Colony Saturn's Edge. Fell asleep talking about how we would be just like that on a big couch. was in so many versions of heaven at that time that I didn't try to count the triangles. Was the only time I didn't count them. Didn't regret it the next morning either. We got up to prepare for the last full day. It was going to be a cold one to help us cool off from 2 weeks of being all the way into each other. By traveling through the frozen sea to the UNESCO fortress, it was solidly cold all day that day, as we were told that was the coldest day of that winter. I was still burning up with love. So was he, as we soaked in all kinds of tourist information, as well as what we would look like in a sea of white. At one point, we were vibing so hard while staring into each other's souls that somebody was able to take a perfect picture of us. We were deadly stuck in a moment, as if the boat wasn't rocking at all. I had just walked up to the rail he was in. We both turned around and looked at each other while leaning against it. The tourist guides thought we were one of the loveliest couples they have ever seen. One of them was a professional photographer and told us about this keen photo op. When we got to one of the windows of the fortress, he was already on the ground, zoomed into the window. He had told us to wing it once we got up there. There were at least 20 different photos with our faces emoting some bullshit and love. There was nothing chill about it. It looked like we had been having conversations for years leading up to that moment. It was magic. Better than ice cream. Ultimate, more than back-to-back 8-player Smash Bros matches, with me winning sudden deaths back-to-back. Then we were magically back to where we first met, from the first night in the hot tub to the last night in the hot tub. Chilling with Everett and Barret, as they were literally going through the same thing we were, with their own heat signatures of doom leading to sadness. Our flight plans seemed to speed up, faster and faster. It seemed, but I told him that I wanted to immortalize whatever we have going on. Since I finally had another man that wanted to literally listen to all of my story ideas before they came to fruition, and the whole creative process, it was the last time I told a story to Claudio. While looking into a beautifully starry sky with the moon that time, I decided to tell the story about total escapism. Memoriam stones. The final story of the Tri-Stone era. It was like a great gospel to Claudio. Everett loves it when I tell the story of how MS came about. He falls in love with the total escapism every time. And it would never be as ultimate as it was because they were with slight loves of their life. I had the three of them falling in love with permanently having paradise in your life in the afterlife, where you get to live 1,000,000 lives in a world that won't ever die, that has so many worlds, you'll never get tired of living. Always something to do, always something to see, always places to go. It was the ultimate adventure of a story while heroes, neutralites, and villains lived in perfect disharmony of the unknown, never knowing what to expect and never knowing how dangerous the threat levels are going to get. It was designed for the ultimate thrills of everybody having the same opportunities in a utopia that provided peace for literally anyone that wanted it. But would anyone else allow you to have that peace? From the chaos providers or the peace providers, the conflicts created stories you'll never see coming, but glad you stayed to endure them. From all of the 2,000 plus characters, to all of the superpowers, to all of the spaceships, to all of the space colonies, to all of the dimensions, to all of the universes, to all of the paths. It was all fictional and splendid. By the time I was done talking about MS, we were alone with no workers out and about because they didn't need them. They turned off all of the lights on the viewing balcony, turned off all of the jacuzzis that weren't being used. Then the two couples that were about to not be anymore made love. It was a moment neither of the four will forget, as a serenade of fantasies caressed their eardrums to caress their membranes until a puddle of Have Your Way With Me. Boom, 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 boom. 31. When Claudio was getting out of the hot tub, I saw the 31st triangle on the bottom of his left foot. How did I miss that the other day? When we were alone again, I went right into laying it on him real manly, kissing and saying he has 31 triangles while he agreed with me, then returned to manliness. To the point I was making it more manly, and then he was making it manlier until we started bruising each other with real hard grips, slightly harder lip biting, severely sucking the neck, and punching each other. He kept saying thank you for seeing all 31 of them, then started repeating, please make love to me. Just like he did on the first night. We kissed passionately, hard enough to hurt each other some more. I asked him how did he want it. Legs to the moon I went, as Claudio scored some lube to make the pivot hit extremely right. The two of us dealt with bringing back the pushing and shoving that gentlemen do. Then it was Claudio's turn to take some dick. He took it on all fours, with his back arched to perfection. He took the drilling as strong as he looks, well to the point the both of us splooged at the same time for the second and final time. As we came down from pounding, we faced each other and started talking through very gentle kisses, talking to each other about how beautiful one another is, creating the final paradoxes of pleasure as tears rolled out of his red eyes, forging a fantasy in memoriam stones so the two of them would fall in love again in other circumstances. Fate was brought up, but I'd rather have him as long as our real lives were away for 2 weeks and then some. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Our bond was intense as he talked about the insecurity of appealing as too much because of brawn and beauty. When he told me what each triangle meant, I understood him and the things he said during the weeks a whole lot more deeply. All of them are heartbreaks. His mind keeps them alive. As prisoners, and they are his fodder, guardians, fellow Marines, and other men. He has felt the 31 heartbreaks in his life as positive motivating forces to the point he is a 30-year-old space colony commander. I then understood that he was entirely soft the whole 2 weeks. There was no weight of the doom of tomorrow on his chest. I would make his doom worse though, because I snuck away a few times to write him a love letter. I advised him to not open the letter until he is out of orbit. He said he would do that, then kiss me so softly, but so strongly at the same time. I didn't catch what he slipped in my pocket. Before I get to that, the beginning of the 10-page love letter read, Claudio, I'll never stop enjoying the way you looked after we kissed. Standing up, just a quick peck. You open your eyes slowly every time and I always found myself in quicksand afterwards. Say that I ended up buried by quicksand. My skull would have been broken, exhibiting a skeletal smile no one has ever seen. Someday, I'm going to draw those things and give you a special shout out. When I do, I hope it takes you back to all of those days we were with each other. For real. We were about love, the ability to do it without hesitation. It's all I've ever wanted in life. So here's to keeping my fingers crossed that the perfection your vessel blessed me with exists in this lifetime again. Again, 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 again. And I'm not going to pipe down from wishing it. Thank you. The letter continued after that, but Claudio stopped reading as his eyes were full of joy and pleasure that lifted out of his eyes and splashed on the envelope in zero gravity. Deemed he couldn't continue reading until he got home, but the devastation of such purity had him holding off on reading the letter for a long time. On tough days, he would continue reading, and for a long year, he didn't finish it. I'll never forget that he said he loved me first, that left me conflicted till I got the thumb drive out of my pocket he slipped me. After getting to my laptop, there was everything he took during the vacation, organized simply by the timestamp of when it happened. Then there was a folder named The Gift. It contained a few sound files, and they were named for obvious reasons. For you. Was just like that on the first file, and after that was Claudio Dalgun's Alice. I could only guess it was a song, but when Raven Simone's Alice started to play, and then he started to sing, it made me wonder how the hell he gets such a crisp ass instrumental of this song. Then started harmonizing deeply like the way Rogie Clutch sings. How? Why does he sing like he's so fucking satisfied? It was his favorite song because he made up a place called Novaland. The rest of the files in the last folder were verbal explanations of his fantasy world I'm sure he's going to intertwine with my worlds. All I needed in life was a man that would sing to me. It's the satisfaction of knowing you happy to the brim to sing. Gové, if any man sings around you, you will be envious to live in a world without him. That's why I arrange phone calls with him every now and then. The haze between us is always red and we are never in a maze. He my N-word. I hope you find your N-word soon. The one that will hit you harder than Cupid. The one that will sing. The one that will shy not at all. The one who will be with you. I'll be wishing that for everyone. Orgasming with the right person will cure your life, and you don't even know it. Keep it open, but keep it player. The cold hearts can turn into burning ones too.